Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So this is going to be another one of those videos where we go over a whole host of news and drama that has occurred over the past few days. Now before we get into that, I want to remind you guys I'm an Advanced GG partner. Now Advanced GG is an energy alternative that I use virtually every single day, and I know a lot of you guys enjoy it as well. And if you use the link in the top of the description, you can go to my starter kit that has been restocked, and you can use the code REVSAYS for 10% off of that. Or you can use RevSays for 10% off of virtually any item from their store. So again, if you want to check that out, top of the description, any support there is greatly appreciated. But our first story for today is a very interesting one, and I want to thank this user Crimson for pointing this out and tagging me and translating some of the necessary details to understand what I'm looking at. So this is a viral thread going around on Japanese Twitter. It says, the meaning of the word pro-ship in Western otaku slang, and the concept of pro-shipper that Japanese otaku should know. Basically, this is a thread informing Japanese users of antis from Western Twitter that might or already have been harassing them. This document has gone viral. It has 58,000 likes, 11 million views, and like I said, such a breath of fresh air. So if you go to the document itself, it explains the history of harassment from Western users directed towards Japanese artists, and it explains what pro-ship is, because unfortunately pro-ship is a term that has been completely muddied down by Western Twitter, in particular antis. Pro-ship just means you're okay with any sort of ship dynamic between characters, like regardless of any sort of weird or uncomfy kind of dynamics, you're okay with it because anyone should be able to ship whatever characters, fictional characters they want, free of harassment. But unfortunately, antis have morphed this term, pro-ship, into something that means problematic shipper, meaning that you're shipping characters with problematic dynamics between them, which of course includes virtually everything. And that has been used as a tool to harass people. That's why a lot of antis have, in their bios, will say, you know, pro-ship, do not interact. Well, Japanese Twitter is starting to catch on to this, and they're noticing a pattern amongst the antis harassing them from Western Twitter, and it's that a lot of them have pro-ship, do not interact in their bios. And after they explain the history of this and what pro-ship really means, they tell Japanese users what to do next. And basically, if you find a DM from someone who has pro-ship or pro-shipper in their language or in their bio, block them. And same thing with their accounts. And to avoid these accounts in general, and to simply just block them before they become an issue. And I think it's an amazing thing to see. Like, enough is enough. If you're a Japanese artist and you see some English-speaking user coming in with pro-ship, do not interact in their bio, yeah, it's safe to say you should block them, because nothing good is going to come from that situation. And I love this term they came up for antis, the American Feelings Yakuza. Basically saying they're like a bunch of bullies going around and intimidating people and attacking them, of course, all over fictional content. And this whole thread is such a breath of fresh air, and it's already been shared by some large mangakas and other artists, and it's really gotten a lot of traction over the past few weeks. And again, I was really happy to see this, and hopefully it gets more attention. And I will also link this in the description as well, so you can check it out for yourself and share it as well. So another thing that's been happening today, this has been a whiplash. Adam Sessler has been trending over the past 24 hours. Now, either you know or you know, but Adam Sessler is a gaming journalist. That is like the last thing you ever want to be called. But he is a gaming journalist who used to be the host of the show X-Play, which was on the G4 network way back in the day. To me, that felt like a fever dream, basically. I have very small memories of this being on cable TV back in the early 2000s, but basically they were a show that talked about gaming and gaming culture, and they did some infamously bad game reviews, and Adam Sessler was the kind of main person behind that, and his reviews were pretty terrible. But for the show itself at the time, it was very interesting. Honestly, it had a lot of appeal at the time because in the early 2000s, there was no real mainstream outlet to go check out video games, especially ones coming from Japan and outside countries like that. It was hard to find things like this. I remember like the best spot you could find gaming news was like magazines at the store, and especially like I remember when I would ever like travel internationally or something, I would be like so excited to go grab magazines because I'd be able to get some like actual gaming news and some information on releases and things like that. It was the sources were very limited if you were trying to learn more about the expansive culture of gaming back then. But the reason Adam Sessler and X-Play is being canceled, I guess, is that people are bringing up old clips that contain a whole host of what many would consider blatant racism towards Japan. And we can't play the clips. I will get striked. But you can find them on Twitter. They're all over the place. There's plenty of clips here of not only his co-host, but also Adam Sessler disparaging Japan as a whole, Japanese gaming developers, doing essentially what people are considering yellowface back then by dressing up as like racist caricatures of Japanese men, and all these sorts of things that were very clearly offensive. And here's the thing. Anyone who's approaching this resurfacing of these clips who has some reasonable thoughts to their mind, you bring this up not to cancel someone over a 17-year-old clip from a show that no one's talking about anymore. People are bringing it up to show that as evidence that the Japanese gaming industry was completely disrespected by networks like this in the West. For a long time, the early 2000s, they were pretty much doing everything they can to disparage Japanese developers and essentially mock their products as something bad or immature or weird or anything like that. And really, if you do look at the clips, it is obvious. Every single time Adam is introduced to a Japanese game and he's doing a review, it is scathing. And he's just mocking it and mocking Japanese culture and things like that. It is very clear that he had a huge bias towards Japan and Japanese products. And Adam Sessler is also known for being quite unhinged. And he's kind of fallen into irrelevancy over the years, which is probably unsurprising. And as he's been called out for these clips, he has responded, as you can see, and it's made things a lot worse. So here's one of the clips, and he replies by saying, "Dude is angry. I didn't like his consumer boner stimulator in 2006. A truer gamer there never was." Like, that's not exactly why you're being... Your review sucked, right? It was borderline racist. Like, he couldn't even review a game without, like, his racism slipping out if it was a Japanese product, right? But this is the part that is, like, showing how unhinged he is. This person was actually, I believe, yes, they're an editor for GameSpot. They say, "I have no idea how you could watch this and grow defensive rather than admit it was 15 plus years ago and the whole thing was pretty insensitive / is not content you stand by making today. That's wild and disappointing." Which, they're right. Like, you know, I would never cancel someone over a 17-year-old clip. Like, obviously, if this was airing today, they'd be canceled for being racist and all this stuff. Like I said, we bring this up to just point out the bias that was paid towards Japanese products in the early 2000s. And it just shows like how unhinged Adam Sessler was towards Japanese products. And he could have easily just been like, yeah, that's, you know, I was making edgy jokes back then. It was a different time. And that's it. Like, you don't have to apologize for anything. You don't have to do anything like that. It's just like obvious, like those were cringe. Like, they were cringe. They're hard to watch. Like, you know, some people were comparing it to like South Park, right? Because I remember there were some early episodes of South Park talking about anime and Pokemon in particular, and they were like super, they had every stereotype of Japanese culture. But the difference between South Park and Adam Sessler's game reviews is that South Park is satire, and everyone knew it was satire. Adam Sessler's game reviews were not satire. They were dead serious, and all of the jokes and the edgy content they included in X-Play was not satire. So he then replies to this: the accountability is zero, much like any other terminally online person like Adam. I'm not defensive, and I'm also not apologizing to the MAGA weirdos with anime poontang in their timeline. Also, maybe tend to your own goddamn garden. So doubling down on the old racist reviews is kind of a unexpected twist for someone who's trying to claim that they're like this progressive person and making fun of right-wing people or people they suspect are right-wing, which is funny because unfortunately, Adam, it's not just right-wing people. Everyone is tired of you. Like, everyone's dunking on you today. Like, I haven't seen the internet from all sides of the political spectrum come together quite like this. Everyone is dunking on him. And he continued his meltdown, and it's hard to read. Final thought: know the latest alt-right cause, celeb progressive knee-jerk catharsis I find myself in. As I've said before, I'm not your monkey, and I'm not going to participate in these meaningless charades of public rebuke and contrition because I don't. Wow, he is so big-brained. He has to be a Rick and Morty fan with these big words. This is amazing. I am willing to be your racist today, just as I have been your drug addict, your censor, and your homophobe time and again. It seems to serve a purpose, and I have no image I care to maintain that I'll let it run the same course as all the others. Dude, relax. Like, you made some terrible, edgy jokes that are now cringe looking back 17 years later. It's not that deep. You don't have to be our racist, man. Like, I don't know what's going on with this. I don't think he's necessarily the most stable person, and the internet's been collectively dunking on Adam Sessler, and it's just like a very weird snapshot of the early 2000s and gaming culture and this weird movement to put a wall up around Japanese content, and it's just very bizarre to see some of the people behind it doubling and tripling down all these years later. But now I want to move on to something different. The Crunchyroll Awards, the anime awards, just concluded, and I don't know, maybe I'm just like out of it. I feel like this just kind of squibbed by. I didn't even notice it happened until the results were being posted, and maybe I'm just out of the loop. But the main takeaway is that Cyberpunk Edgerunners won Anime of the Year, which I loved Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and I thought it was great. You can, of course, debate on what was the best anime of the year. There will never be an opinion anyone's going to agree on, of course. So, feel free to share your anime of the year. It's your objective opinion, or subjective. Whoa. Your subjective opinion. But one thing I thought was funny, a lot of people were pointing out, what about Attack on Titan? A lot of people thought Attack on Titan got snubbed in a lot of different categories. And what I thought was very interesting, and our boy Nicholas over here points it out. You can check out his YouTube channel. I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware of him. He pointed out that earlier this week, I think it was 2 days ago, the latest part of the final season of Attack on Titan released, and there was so much traffic onto Crunchyroll's service that it actually crashed. So I think that is kind of proof that, yeah, there's a lot of love for Attack on Titan, no matter how many goofy ass versions of their final season is going to have. Like, let me get this straight. I want to get this right. So they, as Nick pointed out, they announced the next part that is coming in fall 2023 while Crunchyroll was down, which is funny in and of itself. But let me just get this name right. Okay, this is the latest version that will be coming this fall of 2023. It is called Attack on Titan Final Season Part 3 Part 2. My head's gonna explode. Like, what are you doing? Is Mappa okay? Guys, you gotta break this down a little easier. I feel like it's getting, are they memeing us at this point? They gotta be trolling a little bit. It's getting a bit silly. But yeah, I haven't been able to catch up with the final season at all. I'm behind the loop on it, but they had to have a better way to break down. I feel like they're making it up as they go. Like they always think like, oh, well, this is the end. Well, you know what? Let's do a little more. So let's do the final part 2, part 3, part 4, part A, part 7B. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's getting ridiculous, but I thought I would point that out. But speaking of Crunchyroll, I also wanted to note, this happened about 2 weeks ago. I thought it was worth mentioning now. It wasn't like the biggest deal to me because it just seems like a part of this whole merger process, but Crunchyroll has been instituting some layoffs. It sounds like they got rid of about 85 of their employees, mostly from their San Francisco headquarters. And I don't know if you guys seen that headquarters. It is extravagant. It looks like your typical like California business where it looks more like a lavish daycare where there's more amenities and luxuries set up around the workplace than there is actual workstations. But it really comes as no surprise that in a merger like this, they're going to start cracking down on the expensive offices and getting rid of unnecessary employees. And maybe, based on the timing of that, was there any relation between the layoffs and then the crashing of Crunchyroll as the latest Attack on Titan episodes came out? Maybe. I don't know, but I think it was just worth looking at this. I know it happened about 2 weeks ago, but since we're already talking about Crunchyroll, I thought I'd point that out. So the last thing in this video we are going to look at is, of course, a new Overwatch skin. Now, this character, I don't play Overwatch. Kiriko, good character, bad character, I don't know. But I do know that she has this Tatsumaki skin that is available. Now, I think it is cool to see a Tatsumaki skin in a game like this. It is cool, but I have to point it out, and it has been pointed out in the comments. They fumbled the bag, man. Why did they put shorts on her? This is literally 1984, okay? Like, Tatsumaki has a scorching outfit, and they cover it up. They cover it up, ladies and gentlemen, and I won't stand for it, but I thought that was just kind of a funny, light way to end this video. Again, check out my advanced GG stuff. I love this product. You guys really seem to enjoy it. You guys are grabbing these off of the shelf. So again, link at the top of the description if you want to check that out. You can check out my starter kit or use RevSays for 10% off of that or any other product through their website. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a lot and I hope it was informative. Like I said, all the related links to that one thread in the description as well. So let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time.